Hey everyone! So today, we are diving into a scenario that is pretty much a nightmare for any system administrator. What to do when you've accidentally wiped your entire /boot directory. It's that heart-stopping moment for sure, but guess what? It's not the end of the world. We're going to turn that point of no return into a clear, step-by-step rescue mission.
You know, it all starts with something that seems so harmless. Maybe you're cleaning up old kernels, maybe it's just a typo. The system keeps chugging along, everything seems fine, and then you type reboot. And that's when the deafening silence tells you something has gone very, very wrong.
So, you hit reboot, and then what happens next? Well, instead of that familiar login prompt, you get this. Your system is basically flying blind. It can't find the first instructions it needs to even start up. This lovely screen is the grub rescue prompt. It's your server's way of screaming, hey, I can't find the bootloader or the kernel. It's basically the digital version of turning the key in your car and just hearing a sad little click. For most people, this is a dead end. For us, this is where we start.
So here's our game plan to get that server back online. We'll quickly set the scene, then we'll dive right into the step-by-step rescue. After that, we'll cover some critical rules you absolutely can't ignore, and we'll wrap up with a strategy to make sure this never, ever happens again.
All right, let's be super clear about the scenario here. This guide is going to work if your main root file system is still in one piece, and, this is really important, you have console access and a CentOS 8 installation ISO. If you don't have those two things, you're looking at a much bigger headache. Okay, time for the main event. Let's move from that feeling of pure crisis to being back in control. I'm not just going to throw commands at you, I'm going to explain why each one works. That way, you'll actually understand the logic behind this whole recovery. Let's get started. First things first, we need to get into a safe place to work. So boot your machine from that CentOS 8 ISO. You'll navigate through the menus, first troubleshooting, then rescue a CentOS Linux system. The installer is going to offer to mount your broken system for you. You want to choose option 1, continue. This is perfect. It gives us direct access to our broken files from a working environment. Okay, we're in. The first patient on our operating table is the kernel itself. You know, the actual heart of the operating system. What we need to do is find the kernel package that's right there on the rescue ISO and basically force feed it back into our broken system's file system. This command right here, this is our first big surgical move. Once you find the packages directory on the ISO, you're going to use RPM to do the transplant. Now, this isn't a normal install. We're using some special flags to jam the kernel files directly into the mounted file system of our sick OS. And just remember to replace that little asterisk with the actual kernel version you find on the ISO. So what's so special about this command? Well, these flags are the real magic. Root equals mnt sysimage tells RPM, hey, install these files over there in our broken system, not here in this temporary rescue one. And replace packages lets us reinstall a package that the system already thinks is there. Oh, and if you see an error about grub2 edit end, don't panic. Just ignore it for now. We're about to fix that whole area next. So we put the engine, the kernel, back in the car, but we still don't have an ignition switch to start it. That's grub, the bootloader. Our next move is to virtually enter our broken system using a tool called chroot, and then rebuild that whole ignition system from scratch. This little command, chroot, is one of the most powerful tools you can have in a system rescue. It's kind of like teleporting your command prompt directly inside the broken operating system. From this moment on, every command we run isn't happening in the rescue environment. It's happening inside our actual system, which gives us the power to fix it from within. Now that we're inside, it's a quick 1-2 punch. First, grub2install writes the main bootloader program to the very beginning of your hard drive. This is the code that runs before the OS even knows what's happening. Then, grub2mconfig acts like a detective. It scans your system, finds that kernel we just reinstalled, and creates the boot menu you see when you start the computer. Okay, pause. This is a super important tip that can save you from a world of hurt. Do not just blindly assume your boot disk is /dev/sda. Run the lsblock command first. It'll list all of your drives. You have to verify the correct name. If you get this wrong, the bootloader gets installed in the wrong spot, and you'll be right back at that rescue prompt, starting all over again. We are on the home stretch. The major surgery is done. Now it's time for the final but absolutely critical finishing touches. We have to handle one last thing with SE Linux before we leave our chroot and try to reboot. Seriously, do not skip this next part. It is crucial. Look,
Knowing the commands is maybe half the battle. Real success, though, that comes from understanding the little details that can totally trip you up. So let's go over the rules that will make or break this whole recovery. This right here is the #1 reason people fail at this recovery. Think of Linux like a very strict security guard for your files. Even if your system boots up, that guard won't let you do anything, like log in, if your files don't have the right security ID badge. By creating this .auto-relabel file, you're telling that security guard, hey, on the next boot, recheck everyone's ID. That way, you don't get locked out of your own perfectly fixed system. So let's just burn this into our brains. Do always verify your versions, and please make backups. And the big 3 don'ts. Never skip the auto-relabel, never assume your disk names, and for the love of all that is holy, remember to eject the ISO before you reboot.
And here they are, the 4 key commands that are the heart of this entire operation. This is a great slide to screenshot for your personal cheat sheet. Reinstall the kernel, install grub, generate the config, and trigger the relabel. That's the whole dance, right there in 4 lines.
We did it. The system is back. But you know what feels even better than fixing a disaster? Preventing one in the first place. Let's talk about how to switch from being reactive to being proactive.
Here are 3 simple strategies. First, automate your boot backups. A simple cron job will save your bacon. Second, practice this whole recovery process in a virtual machine. Trust me, knowing you can do it takes away so much stress when a real crisis hits. And third, keep an eye on the disk usage of boot. A lot of times, people get into trouble trying to clean up a partition that's almost full.
So let's just recap what we've done here. We started with a server that was basically an expensive paperweight, stuck at a rescue prompt. And piece by piece, we brought it all the way back to a fully functional system. The key takeaways here are simple, but they're really powerful. You use a rescue ISO to get in, you reinstall the core kernel and grub components, you never ever forget to trigger the SE-Linux relabel, and you always remember that the best fix is preventing the problem in the first place with backups and practice.
And that leaves us with the most important question of all. You've proven you can recover the system, that's the technical skill, but is your process ready for next time? Can you do it faster, with less stress? Is your whole team prepared? That is the leap from just being someone who fixes things to being someone who builds a truly resilient operation.